Alright guys, we are back. Is everybody back or no? Peter says the video I shared was funny. Oh, about, yeah, you can watch the video. So Peter, the guy has way more, and it's just funny. He has another one. I'm not gonna say live what it is, but just watch that guy. He's really funny. All right, so let me go here to the chat. All right. Is Daphne on? Hey, Daphne. Okay, cool. So, Daphne, regarding this, can you explain REIT or REIT, right? I thought it was a trust. A trust was a funding account. Okay. Steven, what's wrong with you? Change the background. Something is wrong there. So, a trust is not a funding account. A trust account or escrow account is a funding account. So if it doesn't say account, then no. Now, as far as real estate investment trust, right, is where we put our money together to invest. So it's pulling money, let's say. Okay. Right here, I didn't get why you allow 4 to 9% tax credit on low-income housing. So we are allowed, it's both a state and federal credit. It's not something that I determine. It's something that's determined by them. If you're trying to, and you guys need to remember this, if you're trying to improve the community, there's a bunch of grants available. So the city might have grants, okay? The state might have grants. There are federal grants for renovations of both low income and historic properties. So what they're saying is they allow you to recover that money if you're dealing with low income. They allow you to recover that money if you're dealing with historic or landmarks. All right, it's just credits that are established by the government as an incentive. Okay, like for instance, just stupid comparison, but right now they're working on a get back to work incentive. Right, because there's people that are staying home because they're making more money with the extra $600 versus going back to work, and the employers are calling them and they're not going. So what turning around and doing is trying to figure out a way to give you an incentive, which will most likely be a tax credit, so money back or something. You're going to give an incentive for you to go back to work. These are government grants, government incentives, again, to keep economy going, to make things better. You got it? I had a video I wanted to share but wasn't sure if it was appropriate. Probably not. I caught a listing. Sorry. I caught a listing on video before it was taken down. Pictures were a little shocking. Chad says probably right. Anyway, so listen, you can always share the video, but you guys can always search Google for the most amazing listing pictures, real estate listing pictures, and I've seen some stuff like a guy sitting in the toilet and somebody's taking a picture of the room and boom, somebody's at the toilet. You can see the legs, you can see the face of the guy. You just cannot see that he's playing Candy Crush, but very close to it, right? That's how, yeah, how detailed the image was. You can see clothes. You can see you can see items that are very personal sometimes in those pictures. So yeah, sure, share it in WhatsApp, I guess. I hope I don't get sued by the very religious people that will watch that video if there's anything bad. Okay. Crystal, I saw a listing with bloody handprints on the wall. How do you know it was bloody? You see how we catch the criminal? How does Crystal know it was bloody handprints and not kids painted? I see how it is. Gil is like, yep. Can one of you call the FBI? We just caught Crystal. So here's the thing. There are some properties that are really bad. I bought a property at an auction once, and you would wonder how, and not trying to give a bad picture, especially for those of you that are eating or just finished eating, but Yanessa, enjoy that little last bite. But you would probably imagine, try to figure out how did the children's behind get all the way on top on the wall, because it was dirty, covered with chit chat on the wall. So all the way up. How did that happen? Have no idea. So we paid a lot of money to paint, repaint, and eventually, this is how bad it was. Eventually, take everything out, put it brand new. That's how bad it was. All right? Crystal liked that one, huh? The chit chat. That's it. So from now on, if you guys want to say that bad word, you just say chit chat. This was on Realtor.com. Perfect. Yeah, then you can share. Fine. Just make a notice when you put on the WhatsApp group. Can you believe this was on Realtor.com? And boom. All right, disclosure. Before you get me in trouble. All right. If anybody's watching on YouTube, let me know you're there so I can always address you. If you have questions, drop them in the chat on YouTube, and I will address them as well. All right, cool. So, was there any other question here that I did not address? Right here. Do you have to own the property for more than 10 years? You're talking about getting the credits? To get the credits? Okay. No. You don't. In fact, you might not even have to keep it for more than a year. It just depends on the type of program you're getting involved in. So you need to know what it is. I don't have barely any property that I keep for long term, unless like a flipping property that I keep for long term. I only keep what it's buy and hold. Those I'll keep for long term. So, and I still get the credits regardless. Okay. Perla says they have 2 locations. Oh, chit chat. Okay. Cool. All right. Any other questions? Let's do a quick roll call. Let me see who I got. Lena. Steven, you're transparent, man. I thought I was transparent. I see your face, but then your shirt is completely transparent. Talia, Carlos, Joseph, Natalie, Perla, and baby, Nicole, Gil, Geraldine, Vanessa, Heather, you're very bright. Chad, Sandra, Gary. I don't know. It's Sarah's. Oh, she's outside. Okay. You're grilling. All right. 45 minutes more or less. I'll be there. Sabrina, Peter, Brian, David, Yanessa, Jane, Crystal, Mina. So Mina Fozzie. Linda, Catherine, Yamila's in the car running away. Daphne, Meredith, Mina, Angel is there too. Anthony, Andrea Rojas, I see Myra, Rudy. Melissa. What's up, Melissa? Tidy's there too. All right, cool. All right, ready to rock and roll. Lewis, do you go live every day? Yeah. So right now I'm finishing my evening class. This will be the last week for the evening class, and then I have the morning class just started today. So every day I'm gonna have the live. Yep. All right. And if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. Okay. All right. So let's go over this. We're done with that. Subdivision and development. Right here. Peter, so we're going to be done by Friday. Like I said, Friday and Monday are not mandatory, but because I did cancel a day last week and we had another day canceled before that, I am extending until Monday, okay? So if you want to participate in the exam prep on Friday, exam prep on Monday, you can. Do you have to? No. All right? Are you okay, Daphne? Aye? What hurts? 50 Shades of Realty, that's the YouTube? Heather, please. With that title, I don't know. All right, so developing and subdividing land. Hold on. Lewis, when are you going over chapter 22? So if everything works well, it'll be Thursday. If everything works well, Thursday. Hey, Heather, you already have fans saying they have to check it out. They saw the title and Elle goes like in the group chat, I have to check this out. By the way, Heather, if you want to write in the group chat, just write, no problem, Miss Giggles. All right? That's Elle, Miss Giggles. All right, so let's go over. And you can say Bruno said so. Developing and subdividing land. So a developer may sometimes combine two or more lots into one larger parcel. This is a process known as IKEA. Okay? I hope you guys got that reference. IKEA. Why? Because when you buy parts at IKEA, what are you doing? You're assembling, putting it together. So what we're talking about is you have two lots, one side by side, and now you take that division and make it into one to build on top, right? Once you make it into one, this is called assemblage. And the new value of this property is now called plottage value because you have a plot. Instead of just a piece of land, it's a plot now. And we're going to go over this in a second. So the next thing we have, it says, you like it? Lewis is laughing. So the next thing we have is this. You guys need to understand what a subdivider and a developer is and what are the differences. So a subdivider buys undeveloped acreage. We call it raw land, okay? What is raw land? If you guys remember from chapter 5, we had what is real estate, and we had the definition of land and real estate. Land by itself, undeveloped, so there's no pipes going through, like water, sewer, or anything going through. There's no electricity. There's no houses on it. So a subdivider buys land that has nothing on it, given to you just like nature intended. So the true definition of land, raw land, right? And they subdivide it. They cut it into small pieces for individuals, for a developer, or even for the subdivider's own use. Now, a developer builds on that land, okay? A developer builds. A subdivider cuts. Let's put it like that. They cut raw land, while a developer builds on that land. Okay, you have to know the difference between these two. Okay? Now, they might trick you saying something about building land, right? So somebody buys 5 acres of building lands. This is most likely what? It gives you 4 options. Okay? Building land, right, is pretty much saying raw land. It's undeveloped. You can build on it. But they trick you guys. They trick you by saying building land. That means you can build on it, but there's nothing there. But they trick you because as soon as you see the word building, you're going to associate with developer because a developer builds. So pay attention to the way the question is being asked. If it's building land, that means it's land that you can build on. Therefore, raw land. Okay? All right? Now, can I repeat? Yeah, for $5 more, no problem. What I was saying is the definition, the difference between subdivider and builder. Subdivider buys raw land, okay, or building land that you can build on. But a developer builds on the land. Okay, so if the question says building land, it's a land that you can build on. So this is an example of a subdivider, somebody that buys building land in order to cut it into pieces or to develop later on. Okay? Good? Perla, you're making me dizzy. Just put some music and dance. That's how I used to do with my kids. They would fall asleep right away. As soon as I started music and dancing, the shaking didn't work, but the dancing did. All right, so subdivider divides raw land, developer develops it. Yep. All right, next we have subdivisions. How do we figure out, or how do we determine what is a subdivision? What is classified as a subdivision? Very simple. You buy a large piece of land and you cut it into pieces. Is this a subdivision? Let me know in the chat. Is this a subdivision? I bought big piece of land, cut it into pieces. Is this a subdivision? Chad is the only one saying no. Okay. Daphne already read the answer. Heather, the land was subdivided but not necessarily a subdivision. Correct. There's no yes and no. And Joe, nope. All right, let me explain. When you cut it into pieces, that's all you did. You cut it into pieces. For it to be considered a subdivision, there has to be different owners. Okay? So if it's the same owner, it's not a subdivision yet. It's divided land, but it's not a subdivision. So as soon as the second lot is sold, second, not the first. As soon as the second lot is sold of a larger parcel, the development is classed as a subdivision. So we're going to sell this to John. Is this a subdivision now? No. When we sell, this was the first. When we sell the second one, we're going to sell this to Adam. On the second sale, there are now 3 different owners. That's what they classify as a subdivision. So after the second sale, right there, after the second lot is sold, so 1 lot, second lot, so 2 lots are sold, and the subdivider still has 4 more units in this case, right? As a second lot is sold, now it's classified as a subdivision. Good? Great. Listen, it's a tiny subdivision, chat, but it's not about the size, okay? It's not about the size. It's still functioned as a subdivision, okay? All right. So next. Now, speaking of size, there are minor subdivisions and there are major subdivisions. Okay? When we're talking about minor subdivisions, most of the times they do not require a town hearing. Okay? So right here, they don't require the public hearing. But each individual municipality determines what is a minor subdivision, what is a major subdivision. So if you go from town to town, there's different rules. You guys got it? Now, a major subdivision, right here, usually involves a planned development, new streets, or extension of an off-track improvement. Okay? So if it's a major subdivision, it requires a public hearing. Why? Because it affects the community. Therefore, the community has the right to vote on that subdivision being approved or not. Okay? But because only 1% of you, let's say, so we have 40 people here, because only 1% of you will actually show up at the meeting, so less than one person will show up at the meeting, most subdivisions are approved without anybody. Like everybody complains. I'll let you know right now. Everybody complains. They go on Facebook, Instagram. They're posting, "Can you believe? Can you believe? Can you believe?" But nobody actually takes action to stop certain subdivisions. Nobody gets involved with the town to figure out, is this good? Is this bad? How does this affect me? Does that make sense? So that's the difference. Major subdivisions, minor subdivisions. Requires public hearing because it affects the community. Doesn't require public hearing because it doesn't affect the community that much. Okay? Remember that. Land planning. Now, if you guys remember land planning, you guys must remember from chapter 9, we talked about a master plan, right? Hold on. Right there. We talked a master plan, right? Let me know what you guys know about master plan. Can you drop it in the chat real quick? Let me know what the master plan is, and also if you got one already, if you went to get one already. Okay. Future plan of growth. City Hall or online, that's where you can get it. Future growth of the municipality. It shows a bigger picture of future developments, absolutely. Now, Natalie, plan of action is what a plan is, where like you have a goal. But what is the master plan? Okay, so every town has a master plan of how they intend for the developments to go into that plan and the growth, if they fit the growth of the township. Okay, it's the blueprint also for future structures and businesses. So you can pretty much know what's happening in your town by getting the master plan. If you haven't yet, has anybody yet gotten the master plan? Let me know. Whoever's on YouTube, so Louis, you're there, let me know. In my Zoom chat right now, 40 people, let me know. Did you get the master plan? Be honest. Did you get it? Chat, pull it from the mod. Also pull the master plan for NJ Transit. Or J Transit. Gotcha. I've seen a few. No, NJ. Okay, you corrected. No. Lewis says no. Guys, that is like $1 million tip right there. You want to make money? Get the master plan. Okay? Peter, you want to get Newark's master plan? Why haven't you yet? I want to know. Go get it. I looked over the master plan of Kearney. All these words to say, yeah, I put him to work. That's pretty much what you're saying. All right. Guys, get the master plan. Very, very important. Daphne is asking, where do you find it? Ready? Ready? Write this down. www. Write it down. Write it down. Take a note, Daphne. www.google.com. Some people still fall for it. We even got Anthony to crack up. Yep. All right. Here's the thing, guys. You're going to go to google.com and you're going to type. Lewis is laughing over at YouTube Live. You're going to go to Google and you're going to enter your town's name and then master plan right in front of it, or comprehensive plan right in front of it, whatever. And it's going to pop up links for it. Now, what I did recommend, the best place to get this, even though they'll still point you to go online and get it, the best place to get it is go to City Hall directly. Okay? Go there. Go to City Hall. Get to know people. You're going to be a realtor. You're going to be there all the time. Right? You're going to be applying for COs. You're going to be getting copies of COs and tax records and a bunch of other stuff. Go. Right? Get to know people. I was about to say, I just asked my stepmom to get it for me because she works for Essex County. I was literally about to say, that's a great relationship. Hey, stepmom, you married my dad, so yeah, you're going to do this for me. That's perfect. I never had that power. All right. Small community service setting up barbecues. Hey, Heather, I gotta say, perfect. Set up something to show appreciation for what they've done and what they do in the town. Yes, absolutely. Barbecue, get to know everybody. Right away, there you go. Yep. Oh, I know, but get to know everybody. I'm pretty sure it's very similar. I went to Pennsville, New Jersey, and there's a section there called Deepwater. But I had to go to Pennsville in order to address title to a property and all the permits and everything. And you get into that office, right? It's the smallest office ever. Everybody works right there. So all the inspectors for all the departments are right there. And there's only 4 chairs. So think about it. Very small. So Peter, if you go to Newark and you're trying to get the Newark's master plan, you got a lot of people to invite. There's almost like 60 workers there. That's a big barbecue. And that's just from City Hall. There's also the fire department. I mean, there's so many departments that you still need to contact. So follow Heather's plan and you're going to do great. There you go. DoorDash and she'll cater. All right, Louis. No problem. Thank you for joining us. Definitely see you tomorrow. And just you can go to the replays if you want. If you have questions, go to the replays, and I'll address your questions later. Okay. Boom. That's it. Coffee, donuts. You're not going to the police department, but sure, those will help. All right. Next. Now, look right here. We have basic plans. Basic municipal planning is only requirements are inflexible. The problem is with when you're dealing with municipalities, it's a different plan of me and you sitting down and making a plan about the future, right? When you go to a municipality and you're trying to fit your plans into their plans, it could take several years before it actually comes to fruition. So there are some master plans. I told you this in chapter 9. There's some master plans that already have plans for the next 100 years. All right. On average, you're looking at 20 to 30 years being established, especially in high turning municipalities like here, right? But there are some where everything is a little slow, and to get to that point, we're planning already the next 100 years and the potential growth of the municipality. Like I'm buying land, as an example, I have land in Texas. The land was bought in 2003. Haven't touched the land, it's just there, right? Why? Because it's land and that area is undeveloped, but I know that 20 years later, 30 years later, the land will be developed around it, right? So whatever I bought for like $5,000, it's already now worth over 30,000 as is, and I didn't do anything, right? Imagine when it starts getting developed around. Does that make sense? So it's knowing the future that will make you that money. So think about it. It's like having really the numbers for the lottery, except this one you have a higher chance of returns. Okay, guys, you can even. All right, you want to make money? Anybody wants to make side money real quick? All right, start selling the master plan for $1 or even $10. Right, special access to the city plans. Start selling master plans. Get them, scan them, or if they're already scanned, done, that's it. Start selling them as a report. Are you an investor in Newark? You should know the future. I got it. Subscribe. Boom. You like that? Cool. Let me register in copyright. I just told you how to make extra money. How many people do you think are going to jump at that if you market properly? A lot, right? I love these questions. By the way, yeah, perfect. Invite me. Right here. But they can just go and get it like I did, right? Peter, did you know about the master plan before this class? Can you write your, don't shake your head, write that answer. Answer what I just said. No. How many of you knew about the master plan? That's another point, yes. How many of you knew about the master plan? Write it down in the chat if you already knew about the master plan. Okay, 1. Anybody else? Okay, Sabrina. Anybody else? So, it's safe to say, based on what the answers are coming through very slowly, it's safe to say that barely anybody knows, right? You knew there was something, you just didn't know what it was. All right, everybody knows there's something. There has to be something. Things don't pop overnight, right? You got it? But most people don't know how to get to it or what it's called. And this was actually simple. Plan. But city plan, you could have searched like that and you got it. But most people, Peter, don't know. And let me say something. One is this. Right there. Some people are lazy. That's one, number 1. Number 2, most people do not know. Number 3, anybody can get it. But anybody can sell their property too. Why do they need realtors? Anybody can fix their own car. Why do you need mechanics? Anybody can do their own electricity. Why do you need electricians? It's called supply and demand. You have a product that people need, and maybe they are lazy, maybe they don't know, and boom. You got it? Okay. Simple. Let's see, there's always reports, and the easier it is to read, the better. Perfect. To save time. And you need someone who has knowledge in that area. See, Heather, this is for Peter right now, what you just wrote. Anybody can get it, but now you're the pro. How about you understand? You go to City Hall, you take the time to talk to developers, you take the time to talk to the building department, right? And you go like, hey, can you explain this to me? What's right here in the master plan? What is this? Right? I'm going to show you how to make money right now. Ready? Not only are you making money with a report, you can even give the report for free. Now do you know how to read the report? See, there's a lot of people with crystal balls and tarot cards, right? I can give it to you. Do you know how to use it? I got the tool, and I have the knowledge on how to use the tool. Boom. Listen, I just made an Insta series that you can put on a membership type of program. By the way, if you guys go to my website, right at the bottom, let me just show you some. Okay, it doesn't pop up. All right, so now it's not popping up, but it should pop up here at the bottom. Let me see, because I did not take that out. Okay. I will check it. Why is it not saying? But here at the bottom, it should say built with ClickFunnels. All right? ClickFunnels is one of the things, one of the resources. So you guys can go, I have it in the student portal. If you go to recommended books and you scroll down, right here, you want to learn how to, we're completely off topic, but if you want to learn how to make quick money, if you have a product or infomercial, anything like that you want to sell, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have a product, a retail business, side business, lifetime online business, whatever it is, this are 3 books for you to get. They'll link you to ClickFunnels and how to use it. Very simple. Traffic secrets. Peter, you need to drive traffic and how to find localized leads for the product that you have. .com secrets, stuff about the internet and how it uses, SEOs, search engine optimization, so on. And then the expert secrets. Any of these will bring you to ClickFunnels. It's the book that I use, the software that I use. So you have a login, you can order the book for free. Look right here at the bottom, there's a little link there. You guys see it? Site built with ClickFunnels. And look, Peter, look at your page right here. You see it? Quick video. And you'll say, hey, do you know that there's a master plan? There's a way to find out the future developments in this town. Great. Boom. For free, you can get this report. Now you're on my subscription list. You got it? Now once they're here, you can start selling them more stuff, more videos. You can turn it into this whole membership area. And I'm sorry to get you guys completely off topic, but it's a way for you guys to make extra money. This whole membership area that I have with all this, these are the quick videos you're going to build. Look right here. Boom. Video. What is the master plan? Boom. Video. How to identify zones in the master plan? Boom. You see what I'm saying? So you stack them into small 5-minute to 10-minute videos, and boom, you sell it at $9 a month. You put 1,000 investors there, and how much money you're making a month extra? Simple math. 10,000? Oh, I know. I'm just oh man. I get too excited with this stuff. Sorry. Just hints. I'm trying to get you guys to make money. There you go. I don't know what I'm reading. Perla, you don't know what you're reading? You gotta ask Peter. He's the expert. He's a master plan pro. Chad, marketing. Okay, great advice. Thank you. All right, guys. Again, you have to be the pro. Create a website where you are the realtor of Newark. You're an investor. I'm the expert in Newark. You got to use me. This is what, and cross market these websites. Boom. Simple. It's the cheapest form of advertisement also. Guys, when you get your license, cheapest form of advertisement is creating a funnel. And that's what ClickFunnels is all about, creating a funnel. So narrowing it to you. Okay? Check out those 3 books at the end. I have them here. If you guys ever want to come here, I'll show you the books, and I'll point out a few things that I really like about the books. By the way, everything that's on the website, I got it. I have a lot of books here. If you guys ever want to read a particular book you don't want to buy, you want to pass by here, no problem. Right? Just let me know. All right, so back to this. Sorry for the ride, but take the notes, make money. Back to this, it says communities establish strict criteria before approving new subdivisions. We talked about this, right? And the following are included. You have dedication for land for streets, schools, and parks. We're going to talk about that later in detail. You guys already know, probably heard that you have to bond or put a bond or insurance on any type of sewer and street costs. So if you're altering the street, or if you need to patch it into the city, right? You're gonna have to pay for that. Also, compliance with zoning ordinances governing the use, lot size, along with fire and safety ordinances. Okay? We talked about that in chapter 9. Now, local authorities usually require land planners to submit information on how they intend to satisfy sewage disposal and water supply requirements. So it's very important for them to do what's called a percolation test of the soil's absorption. Why? Because if the soil does not drain fast enough, what could happen? Flooding, right? So if it doesn't drain fast enough, it floods. That's why before new subdivisions or developments, you have to have a percolation test of the soil before you do that. Also, you have to have or submit an environmental impact report. So if you guys remember from chapter 9, we talked about environmental issues, right? Why would you, as a developer, have to prepare an environmental impact report? What is your best bet when it comes to this? Oh, Peter, if you need help with this, let me know. If you're actually gonna do it, let me know. Okay. So, why the environmental impact report? Why is needed? Sarah, I'm not talking to you. You're out there barbecuing. Don't invite nobody. What, to the software? All right, we'll talk about that another time. It's free for 14 days, but there's a way to make it free forever. I'll talk about it another time. Chad, EPA and wildlife regulations, that too. Nope, but that was a good attempt. Environmental impact, let me know. What do you guys think? You're thinking hard. Okay. Flooding. Noise. What else? Environmental impact. What can we find underground? You want to make sure you don't affect the clean water because of hazards. Oil. Perfect. We're getting there. All right. So all those environmental issues could affect the development. What if you're going to dig into land that was once a gas station, for instance, and there's oil? You guys understand? What if your development affects wetlands? Absolutely. How is your development going to affect the environment? The toxins, the chemicals that are in it. That's why we need the environmental impact report. Very good. Okay. All right. Subdividing, we already talked about this. Right here at the bottom, it says, all the way to the top, as previously discussed, close contact is initiated with Subdivider and local planning and zoning officials. So you have to work closely with the town in order to get your development to be part of that master plan and be approved, right? It says right here, if the project requires zoning variances, negotiations begin along these lines, and the Subdivider also locates financial backers and initiates marketing strategies. All right. So I want to ask you something. Out of everything I read, did we talk about buying the property yet? We're about to develop. We draw the plans. We identify the property we want. We start talking to the municipality. Did we buy the property yet? We did not, right? We did not buy the property yet. So wait, why would you spend all your money doing these things, even applying for variances, right? To change the zoning. It's costly to apply for variances. It's costly to submit projects into the town. It takes years to get these things approved. Well, months, sometimes years. Why would we do this before buying? Simple, right? Anybody? Why would you do it before buying? One of the answers is very simple. I like the one Chad put there, is the price of doing business. But one of the things is, you want to make sure that you can use that land to do what you are wanting to do, right? That's one of the things. But now, so to avoid cost, there you go. But now comes the question. To avoid cost, Daphne, to avoid cost, could you also lose the property that you worked so hard to get approved? Yes. So that's why usually, it's not here in the book, but I'll let you know right now. Usually when you get into a development type of planning, right? You're going to contact the seller or the owner, and you're going to try to get into what's called a creative arrangement. If you guys remember, we had something like lease with option to buy. I'll rent it from you. This way I secure a position where I have control over the property while I get it approved, and I buy it later if it gets approved. If it doesn't, I avoided the cost. If it does, I saved the property. You guys got it? It doesn't address here in the book, but it's one of the ways to have some type of control over the property. Or what could happen as well is partnering up with the seller and say, hey, listen, I can't afford to buy the property. This is what I'm trying to develop. Could we work together and become partners or joint venture in this development? Right? Everything is about getting creative. You guys got it? Good. So look what it says. Next, plans are prepared, approval is sought, permanent financing is obtained, and what do we do after? We finally purchase the land because everything is approved, so good to go. Final budgets are prepared, and marketing programs are then designed. The plans are then recorded with local officials, so they become part of the master plan, and street sewers and utilities are now installed, and so on. Subdivision plans. You guys should already know this, that they're regulated by the zoning, right? And zoning regulates the size of the lots, front footage, debt, square footage, and so on, right? Even the minimum and maximum sizes of the lot. We talked about it. Scrolling down, it says, when the city, town, or village installs the water and sewer mains that connect a new building with a junction box in the street, there's a tie-in or connection fee. What is a tie-in or connection fee? Well, you are connecting your new development to the sewer, the main sewer, so the town's sewer line or water lines and so on. So why would the town pay for that? So they charge you, you want to build, go ahead, but it costs X amount of dollars to connect your development to our municipal waters and sewers. You guys got it? Tie-in or connection fee is because of that. Now, large developments may also be charged impact fees, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Impact fees intended to help a community cope with increased demand for schools and other services. But we're going to talk about impact fees in a little bit. Now, street patterns. There's different street patterns. You probably have noticed when you go from town to town, they are organized differently, right? If you come here to Newark, totally different than going to Summit, for instance, all right? So we have gridiron and we have curvilinear patterns. Curvilinear developments avoid the uniformity of gridiron, and they're also safer. I mean, quieter and more secure, so they're safer, right? However, getting from place to place can be more challenging. So let me show you. And I'm sorry, but the book scanned came out like this. This is the gridiron. So we have block 3, block 4, lot 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay? So this is gridiron. Easy to go in and out. This is curvilinear. Ice scoop trays. There you go. Curvilinear, right? They're way better for family environments, right? They're more difficult to get to them. That's the problem. Now, clustering for open space. By slightly reducing lot sizes and clustering them around varying street patterns, a developer can house as many people in the same area as could be done by using traditional subdividing plans, but with substantially increased tracts of open space. So here's an example, all the way at the bottom. We have two different subdivision styles. We have conventional gardens and we have cluster estates. You see the difference? It's obvious, right? So here's the difference between them in terms of size and park land. See, we're going to make the lots a little smaller. So instead of 12,500, we're going to bring them down to 7,500 square foot lots. And now I have 368 units versus 366. But look what happened here. This is the big difference. 1.6 acres of parkland versus 23.5 acres of parkland. Big difference, right? Where would you prefer to live? Oh boy. Where would you prefer to live? Steven says cluster. Linda says cluster. Heather says out in the country. All right. Chad says there's a subdivision in Southwest Florida that was never fully, never fully completed. It was a huge circle. Well, Florida. Let's see. Cluster states. Cluster. No, lot is the land only. We're not talking about houses. It's land only. Chad says it was the largest town. The circle? Damn. Round and round we go. So, almost everybody went for cluster estates. That's easy. Most people want to think about parkland versus being restricted of trees or anything like that. Cool, cool. Now, right on top we have plat of subdivision. Here's what I want to point out real quick. Every time you see the word plat, means map. Plat means map. Plat of subdivision is a map of the subdivision. Now, the subdividers complete a plat of subdivision or map of the development indicating the location and boundaries of each individual properties must contain all necessary approvals of individual properties. Of public officials, and must be recorded in the county where the land is located. Now I have a question right here. It says all areas that have been set aside for street purposes are to be dedicated or turned over to the municipality. So that means you're going to buy a big piece of land, you're going to cut it into pieces, right? And then you're going to put a road that goes right through. It says right here, whatever's been set aside for street purposes, so that road that goes right through, must be given, dedicated, or turned over to the municipality. Why? Why would you have to give the property that you bought, that you cut into and developed, why would you have to give it to the municipality? That's the question. So, Gil, no. But go on. No, because they're not purchasing. Eminent domain, they have to give you fair money. We're saying I bought land, cut it into pieces, and put a road right in, and I have to give it to the municipality. Why? So, Peter, we're going to hold on to this one. Daphne, you've been watching way too many videos. Heather says, right of way. The braids, by the way. Crystal says, municipality maintains the road. Okay. Sandra, stop eating your fingers. It's not going to take you anywhere. Four times today. Jesus. Today's the day. All right. Police, fire coverage, as well as road maintenance. Yes. Municipality maintains the road. Emergency service access. Yes. For zoning. Maybe. Okay. So yes, yes, and yes to all that, but why must I give it to the municipality? You're answering what will happen by giving that to the municipality. The question is, I bought it, why do I have to give it to them? I developed, why do I have to give it to them? That was my question. Why? All right, some of you answered, right? But let me show you. Because if you don't want to give it, you have to show that it's a private gated community. And that's why she's watching too many videos. That was on my previous class, the answer, all right? So it belongs to the city right away. It has to, for all those reasons that you guys listed, right? Because the developer did not note that it was a private community. Because if it's private community, guess what? Everything you guys are talking about here, except police and fire, of course, but road maintenance, right, is handled by the gated community. What else we have? Public use, private use, okay. Right of way, yeah. But right now it's private right of way, okay? So that's pretty much it, guys. The reason why we have to give or turn over or dedicate, that's what it's called when you see the word dedicated, is because you did not note on your plans that it was private. Okay? If the plans show public, then automatically you're gifting. Okay, Gil? You're gifting. It's not eminent domain. You're gifting to them. Gil's asking, is that an HOA? It could be. It could be an HOA. If I have a development, let's say apartments, like luxury apartments, and they have a bunch of properties there, right? It's a private gated community, but I'm the landlord, so it's not an HOA. Does that make sense? But if it's individually owned, each unit is individually owned, then there's an association, homeowners association. So yes, now your answer would apply to that. So the fact that it's private doesn't mean automatically that it's a homeowners association involved, okay? Homeowner disaster. That was a good one. All right, there's FHA standards real quick. What FHA standards state is very simple. Remember, FHA is a Department of Housing and Urban Development. So obviously, if you're developing, housing and urban development might have a say in what you're doing, right? Especially if you're looking for FHA loans in the area. The buildings must be according, or the developments must be according to FHA standards for the approval. Okay? And it says right here, so this is a image of a map. Okay? Subdivision and so on. As I was saying, FHA is a department of HUD. So the building codes, the local building codes, have to comply with whatever FHA is trying to ensure in the area. Development costs, guys, we already talked about this. We spend hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of dollars before we even announce it to the public. We went over this before, right? Good. On the right-hand side, it says in certain areas, a subdivider may also be required to give financial assistance to school districts, park districts, and the like, either in the form of donated school or park sites, or in the form of fixed subsidy per subdivision lots. Impact fees. You guys remember we talked about this before? If it's a large development, then we might need a new school. We might need more resources to comply with the requirements for the amount of people living in the area. More police, more emergency services, more this, more that, because there's more people living here. These are impact fees. Subdivision density, guys, I'm going to skip for now because I haven't seen in any of the exams. If you guys want it, it's on the previous videos. But I haven't seen in any of the exams recently. So we're going to skip it. We have environmental issues. And by the way, I'm skipping a lot of stuff also based on the new adjustments, the changes. So I'm preparing you for that exam already, okay? Very possible, Daphne. I'm going to skip it and it will be on your exam. If you're as lucky and blessed as I am, that's exactly what's going to happen. All right. Anyway, New Jersey Environmental Regulations, Chapter 9. Remember that? Chapter 9, Environmental Issues. The only thing I want to show you guys right here at the bottom, it says the Highlands Water Protection and Planning Act protects New Jersey's drinking water. It's simple. Highlands Water Protection. Okay? In this case, associate that to drinking water. We talked about development of 1 acre or more, or paving of a quarter lot and so on. This is protected by the DEP, and the supervision is intended to protect steep slopes, upland forests, and areas around open waters. Another thing we have in New Jersey is the New Jersey Pinelands Protection Act. So every time you see the words pine barrens, we're talking about the Pinelands Protection Act. And this consists of oak, pine forest, extensive wetlands, and historic villages and berry farms. And that means we cannot destroy it. It's probably the cleanest water we have in all our lakes and stuff around here. The cleanest water that we have, or resort, let's call it a resort in New Jersey, is exactly the Pine Barrens. Okay, if you guys ever want to go visit, you'll be amazed at that beauty and think, are we still in Jersey? It's like a different world. What are you guys talking about? Murphy's Law, Sopranos episode? I just lost you guys on that. I have no idea where you guys are. All right, we're talking about wetlands. I don't know where we are. But anyway. Oh, yeah. We're going to skip it and it's going to be right there. Boom. What are the odds? All right, New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, regulates development in marshes and other wetlands under the Wetlands Act of 1970. We talked about this also in Chapter 9, 1970. Oh, Gil says I take my Jeep off-roading there. So you know how beautiful it is, right? It's like a different world. Perla, that's where you live? The lake across the street? All right, no? Okay. Next, let's see. Guys, we talked about this in chapter 1. So right now we're going to skip it. Chapter 1. Interstate means out of state. Okay, out of state land. Already know, registered with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. New Jersey land sales. So for certain subdivisions within the state, so now it's within the state, primarily those that involve common elements like condos, co-ops, and plan unit developments or PUDs, and townhouse developments, and also for subdivisions with 100 lots or with a homeowners association, so HOA, here we go, HOA, the Planned Real Estate Development Act sets requirements very similar to those in the Real Estate Sales Full Disclosure Act that we talked about in Chapter 1. Now, the disclosure statements must be approved and registered with the Bureau, and a prospectus must be furnished to all potential buyers. So just like interstate properties, we must create a plan of that development. And every time we're selling a lot, we need to give to the buyer the prospectus. This is what's going to happen, right? That's what we're saying here. If people buy when it's being developed, then they buy at pre-construction prices and stuff like that. They must be aware of what's happening, okay? Now, if the new subdivision falls within the requirements of this act, the buyer again has the right to cancel or rescind the contract within 7 business days. Okay? So if you're buying from a subdivision, 7 business days. Building regulations, we have the Uniform Construction Code. What you need to remember is that the Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs regulates construction, alteration, renovation, occupancy, and use of all buildings. So if you guys ever have a complaint regarding a building and the way it was built, right? If you ever have a complaint regarding a landlord, where do you go? You go to your local Department of Community Affairs. That's where you go to put in a dispute. Okay? With that being said, builders, every time you build a brand new construction, there must be a warranty. You must give a warranty to the buyer. Why? Because it's a manufacturer's warranty. If something goes wrong, hey, come back to me. I got you. Imagine you built with a wrong foundation. Like there's an issue with a foundation. I'm sorry. There's an issue with a foundation. And 5 years later, the land starts sinking. True stories, by the way. Land starts sinking. What are you going to do? Walk away? No. The builder has to be responsible for it. So they have to have a warranty for new home defects for varying periods of up to 10 years. If it's foundational, 10 years. My dad was living in Hillside a couple of years ago, and 2 years after being in the house, not even 2 years, it started sinking. You could see the ceiling start cracking, and you'll see something like this. So they had to come in and fix it. It was their responsibility. All right, enforcement. How do they enforce the regulation of these developments, right? The buildings. He is. So to address Gil right now, he's not only a realtor, he just opened up his own business. Yep, so he's a broker. Construction permits. So that's how, we talked about this in Chapter 9 as well. That's how they, thanks Gil. That's how they regulate you, right? So each municipality has a different requirement for construction permits, right? but they have to issue a construction permit before any, the key word is any, construction, alteration, demolition, or change of use of a building can be undertaken. If you guys remember, we also said that after the construction you get a CO or you can get a CCO, CCC or CCO, right? The local official is going to inspect the plans, and if according to the guidelines they'll approve it, but they can also reject it if they feel that it's against that town's guidelines. If they do reject, you have two options. You either revise your plans to meet the requirements or appeal the rejection. So if you feel that you're right and they're wrong, you can always appeal it. Okay? As I said, they have to issue a CO. We already talked about this, right? A CO is pretty much to say, hey, it's okay to occupy, you meet all the standards. If anything goes wrong, we got you, right? That's pretty much what it is. Right here at the bottom, many municipalities, not all, but many municipalities now require a certificate of occupancy for transfer of title or change of tenants. All one-family and two-family must be inspected for the presence of smoke detectors prior to the transfer of title or change in occupancy. For existing buildings, we get a CCO or a CCC, which is Certificate of Continuing Compliance, or in this case, Certificate of Continuing Occupancy. Every town has different words for this, but the main one's CCO or CCC. Okay? It just says that, hey, it's still according to code. That's all. Next page, it says safety requirements. In New Jersey, the change of occupancy for, again, we're talking about 1 and 2 family. We're not talking about 3 or more. The change of occupancy for 1 and 2 family requires that the building have smoke detectors on each level of the dwelling and within 10 feet of every sleeping quarter. So there has to be smoke detectors in every unit and within 10 feet of every sleeping quarter. Now, if you guys read what it says next, each municipality might require more. This is the state requirement, but each municipality might require more. Like here in Newark, we have a smoke detector in each room. It's not within 10 feet, it's each room. Also, they require hardwire detectors with battery backups. You don't get approved if you don't have these, unless it's an older house that never had the high wire, is only the battery ones, okay? But they can require more than the state minimum. The state also requires at least one properly installed carbon monoxide detector and an approved fire extinguisher. These are minimums. Each municipality can require more, okay? This is good to know because once you get to the inspections, these should all be there. So advise your clients, hey, Mr. Seller, we have to test your smoke detectors because the day we get to the inspection, if this fails, we're delaying the sale for another 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the calendar that they have. Does that make sense? So when you put a property for listing, you should automatically start talking to the seller, hey, this could go fast, this could go slow, I don't know how the calendar is right now, but let's look at these and see how they are before we get the inspection. True story. Smoke detector, light is green. So if it's green, it's good, right? Yeah. City inspector comes in. Actually, the person I was telling you before that she was an inspector at the time, inspector of property of mine. This is a true story because it happened with this inspector. Gets over there and tests them. Smoke detectors go like something like that, and I'm like, I barely wake up if the bomb drops next to me. How am I gonna wake up with these things, right? So guess what? The light was green, but doesn't mean it was working. So guys, regularly test. There's an option there. There's a button there. Regularly test your smoke detectors. This is serious now. I'm not telling you as an instructor. I'm telling you as a friend now. As a human being, keep testing your smoke detectors as many times as you can throughout the year. You never know when one goes bad. You guys got it? Test them. There's the button there to test. Chat says once a month is a nice standard. Yep, you should. Okay, and some of them now come with a 10-year warranty. Don't believe in anything like that. 10-year warranty doesn't mean they're gonna work forever. All right, still test it. All right, next. Oh, by the way, that closing was delayed for almost a month. Not because of the inspector, because the inspector, she was really nice. She came back like 2 days later. She said, hey, Bruno, just call me. Here's my cell phone number. Just call me. Really nice. Okay? She came back like 2-3 days later. And she didn't come back sooner because there was, at the time, there was also different emergencies going on. It was crazy. But it delayed because now the report took another week. So now the weekend is over. Took another week to get to the banks, right? To the title company, to everybody. So then it delays another week and another week, another week before we get the actual okay to close or the clear to close. All right, small things could delay everything. Perla says they should be changed every 4 to 6 years. That's what a firefighter told me. And I'm telling you, test them as often as you can and change them as soon as they go, okay? I don't care what a firefighter tells me. I'm not going to wait 4 to 6 years because he told me. After what I saw that day, this was 4 years ago. So imagine, I've been doing this for 16 years. I never dealt with that. After that, that's when I realized test them regularly. I would not have woken up if that was the house that I was living in. Got it? You love the sound effects? Linda, I've been working so hard. This is the first time I do this sound. Did it come out nice? All right. To finalize this chapter, hotel and motel, multiple dwelling, health and safety law. And now you're probably asking yourselves, wait, we talked about 1 and 2 family, and now we go into hotels. What happened to the 3 and 4? Right? Well, 3 or more units fall under this act. 3 or more units fall under this act. Hotel and motel, multiple dwelling, health and safety law. Okay? So 3 or more units, they fall into this. So now, because of this act, multiple dwellings are inspected once every 5 years, and hotels are inspected once every 3 years for these things. Carlos, I love this question. And since we are done with the chapter, I'll address it right now. Okay. Do you see this question, guys? Okay. Old school practice. Realtors walk around with smoke detectors and walk around with fire extinguishers. Why? To pass an inspection, then take it out and go to the next one. That's illegal. And now they're asking for you to mount the fire extinguishers, for instance, because that was the most common. It was not the smoke detectors. It was more of the fire extinguishers. What I would tell you right now here, Carlos, regarding this is, like I said before, at listing, you already secured the listing. It's yours, right? Got it. So now comes the advice part. Talk to the seller, Mr. Seller. Now is a good time so we can speed up the process because we don't know when the smoke certification is going to be required. Let's start preparing for that. Let's get your CO running. Let's get the inspection running for the CO, right? Let's get the smoke detector, the smoke certificate requested. For that, we need to have these in order. So let's test the carbon dioxide, the smoke detectors, and let's see if your fire extinguisher is in order. Some of them are going to be like, fire extinguisher? Do we have to have one? They already bought it like that. without one. They didn't even know it was a requirement. So guys, instead of walking around with it, right, which could be illegal, and if you get caught, it's going to be a problem, big problem. Instead of walking around with it, it's a good practice to advise your clients to get them. Can you get it for them? Sure, if you have them, why not? All right. Just remember, we're not a hardware store. We are consultants. We are not the contractors. We are consultants. Remember that. Could you do favors for the client? Sure. That's totally up to you. Okay? You got it? It is required. It has to be in plain sight and mountain. Yep, the fire extinguisher. Smoke detectors is whatever the town requires, but state definitely has to, and VAs and FHAs will not let it slide without it being there. Yep. Okay. Any question, guys? Let me know if you have questions. Perla, I'm lost. Are you asking me a question, or are you going to make a statement, or what's happening? Or are you just correcting whatever you wrote there? I'm not sure what's happening here. I don't know if you're going like, "Ooh, there it is." I don't know what you're trying to do. Some of you are already dancing. Oh, Chad was writing what I was saying. Oh, man. These dad jokes got to stop. I know. All right. Oh, you're making a statement. There you go. Really, Steven? Okay. It's electric. We go. Please, nobody put the cha-cha slide. All right, what else we have? We'll talk about this later. I know. Keeps it entertaining. You never know what's going to happen. And if you don't know, now you know. We talked about it earlier. Why does it sound like I'm outside? Because I have a fan. Besides my fans, I have a fan here because the AC is not working. Yeah, so here's the thing. It is because of the fan. Because the mic is right here, right here, okay? And every time I speak, if I'm closer, it works. It blocks out the rest of the sound, but because I have the fan, it brings whatever sounds are here. Yep. Yep, that would suck. It would be canceled. Nope, I'm glad you guys are home, because this would be really, really bad. All right, so questions. Guys, drop me questions. Any questions regarding this chapter? We're pretty much done, but any questions? If you don't have any questions, then good night. And I'll see you tomorrow at 5:30. All right? If you have questions, you're welcome to stay a little bit longer and ask those questions, okay? Good night, guys. Andrea, good night. Nina, good night. Good night, Geraldine. Gail, good night. Gary, good night. There you go. I make it seem so easy. All right. Good. It's my job to make it easier. Vanessa, you had a question earlier and I missed it? Really? Yell at me. Tell me. Chapter 17. Can you... I will get into that. Mina, it says right here... If it's for 3 or 4 families, it says right here, it's once every 5 years. Okay? And if it's a hotel, once every 3 years. Okay? Back to the chat. Let's see what we got. Where can I practice test questions besides the book. Quizlet. You have access to the student portal, Talia? Okay, everything is there. You have Quizlet. It helps you, and then once you're done, right below Quizlet, a few options below. Let me show you here. So Vanessa and Daphne, I'm not ignoring. I'm just going to address because those will take a little bit longer. So, Talia, when you go here to course resources, on the right-hand side, right here. Okay. If you've completed 90% of the course, test yourself. Okay. All right, real quick, it's not illegal for you to help them replace a detector or batteries. That is great as a service. It's not what I was saying. What I was saying is a lot of realtors, what they do, right? If you're going to install it or help them have everything in order, no problem. So that's what I was saying. I stopped for a second. Is a lot of realtors, what they're doing is they're bringing all this stuff for the inspection day and then taking it all back with them for the next inspection. That was the issue. That's where it's illegal. That's why a lot of realtors got caught, especially walking out on the inspection day, walking out of the car with the fire extinguisher and putting there in the kitchen, loose, knowing that you're going to take it right after and walk away. That part is illegal. All right? So if you're helping them and installing and it stays there, that's what I was trying to show the difference. Right? If you're helping them, installing them, and staying there, sure, you're going to give them a bill? That's the other question as well. Kathy, I'm glad you like it. Thank you. All right, Carlos, and that's the only thing. Look, I've had people that were realtors before in my class, and they even talk about, oh, when I said this stuff, don't worry about it. You just give something to the inspector, and you're good. Just leave them like an envelope. And they were saying this stuff in front of my students. So, guys, teaching people how to do the illegal stuff is not going to get you a license, right? In this case, Carlos, that's what I was explaining to you. It's not illegal for you to do that. Is if you intend, and I said right after, if you intend to remove it right after, if you're doing that just for the day that you're doing in front of the inspector and then walking away, and they see that you're taking it with you, if you get caught taking it back with you, that's the problem, all right? No, this absolutely. That absolutely. If you leave it there. If your intention is to do it and leave it there, absolutely. Some inspectors are a little tight, not to say the rest of the word. They're a little tight, and they'll say, hey, it's not installed. I got another one to go to, so no, I'll see you a week from now. All right, Sabrina, good night. But do you understand? Could you? Yes. So what I would prefer you to do, Carlos, if you want to close faster, is what I was saying before. You get the listing, automatically start looking at the issues so you can prevent that future delay. Okay? The problem with most realtors is that they delay their delays. Like they're the ones that procrastinate instead of being on top of the seller and say, hey, Mr. Seller, we need this. We need this. We need this. Can I get it for you? Right? Let me help you. Now it's a different story. Right? Buyers is the same thing. Guys, most of the times, the issue is going to be you because you're the licensed one. You're the one that's supposed to know these things. You get it? It's our responsibility. The sellers will delay and the buyers will delay your closings all the time. But it'll always be your fault because you didn't advise, because you didn't do this, because you didn't, oh, I didn't know. Right? It'll always happen. And you're the licensed one. Got it? So always have a checklist. So these things we're talking about, have a checklist. Did you check the smoke detectors? Did you check the carbon monoxide? Did you check if they have a checklist? Doesn't hurt. You're walking the house anyway at the day of the listing. Doesn't hurt. Let's check these things. It's an extra 5 minutes you're going to spend of your time, right? Applying for a CO, something that baffles me until today. All these years licensed, till today. Why don't you ask as a seller, why don't you get the CO once you list the property? CO is valid for 6 months. In most townships, it's valid for 6 months. Are we going to take 6 months to close, guys? If you take 6 months, something is wrong. Does that make sense? And even if it does, you can always ask for an extension before it expires. So why would we wait for last minute? This is just my opinion. Obviously, everybody's entitled to their own. But why would we wait until last minute till they start telling you, hey, mortgage company says, hey, we really want to close, but we're waiting for a CO. Where is it? Why would you wait for last minute? You've been dealing with this for a month or two already. All right? So these are just a few things that speed up the listing from listing to closing if you represent the seller. All right? Definitely have these things available if you're helping out the seller, right? And you close faster. All right, so let me see. I have other questions here before I close. Chapter 14. Where's Vanessa? Teaser rate. Why do you advise to do something quick? What do you mean? To get rid of it quick? That's what I said in the video? Because the teaser rate is the lowest rate you're going to get at the time. It's even below everybody else's standard rates. It's called teaser for a reason. If you like chocolate and I wave chocolate in front of you and I say, hey, I'll kill for chocolate. I'm letting you know right now. So if you wave chocolate in front of me and you say, hey, Bruno, you want the chocolate? I say, hell yeah, let's go for it. Right? But for you to get the chocolate, you must do this for me. So that's what the teaser rate is. It's like they're giving you, everybody else is at 5%, they're giving you a 4.5 as an example. Why wouldn't you jump at it, right? 4.5, lower payments. The thing is, this is for adjustable rate mortgages. So they give you the teaser rate, which could last 5 years, for instance. 5 years locked at 4.5. And then it moves on to the actual rate at the time, which could be 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. Okay? So that's why get out of it as soon as you can. If it's a 5-year rate lock, and then within those 5 years it drops like right now to less than 3%, what should you do? Refi right away. Get out of it, because then it's just going to go up. Okay? That's what it is. To address this real quick, and Daphne, I'll go to yours right after this. To address this real quick, the approved fire extinguishers, because there's different grades to it. There's A, B, C, and D. There's different grades. If it's for boat, if it's for commercial grade, if it's residential grade. So there's different grades of fire extinguishers. So when they say approved fire extinguisher, you want to make sure that it's one for residential. Okay? So you don't want to have those huge ones, but you don't want to have the tiny ones either. Okay? That's what it is. Good night, Carlos. Chad? You're typing? Okay. Yeah. So ABC grades, okay. Find the right type. All right, so here we go. You're going to go to find the right type. Auto. So for cars, let me zoom in. For auto, right there, that's the grade. So this does not apply. This tiny one cannot be in residential. See here? Ideal for heavy duty residential, ideal for small kitchen fires, ideal for recommended for electrical fires. So we're going to go here. That's usually what will happen is kitchen fires, right? And it tells you what's approved. Okay? If you go to the next one, there's different models for this. Right here. Okay? There's different ones. Okay? So that's what you have to see what is required for the type of building that you are advertising. Okay, yeah. Well, if it has grease, obviously a small kitchen can have grease, but mainly you're going to look at that at the restaurant, then you need to have the heavy duty one. All right, go back to chat. All right, so Vanessa already addressed yours, right? Okay. I think I addressed everybody, and I'm sorry, Daphne, for delaying this. It's just that this one will take a little bit longer to address. What do I got? It happens. Absolutely. It happens. All right, so question is, can you explain tax deductions? So we're going to go back to that section. I know a lot of people wait for Daphne. That's why I'm always waiting for her to step in and ask the questions. All right, so look, I always pick on somebody, especially the one that asks the most questions, right? Because that too. Because usually the one that asks the most questions asks the questions that everybody's thinking. Some people get annoyed, and I see the faces, right? Some people get annoyed. Oh, okay, is this ever going to end? Because all these questions are coming through. Here's the thing. Some of those people, unfortunately, are the ones that will fail. Unfortunately. So, as I always say, I appreciate your questions, all your questions. Even if you repeat the question, that means you did not understand and somebody in the whole group did not understand either. So I do appreciate that. Okay? Except when you're asking questions of something that I still did not address or didn't get there, like Gil does sometimes. Right? You do it, he does it. Sarah, you're driving. You're bringing the barbecue? 18 Oliver Street. Just saying. All right. Deductions. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Absolutely. Okay. So this was your question, right? Deductions, right? So here's the thing. It's a tax thing. You don't have to know in detail. What you have to know is that active losses go against active income, all right? And passive losses go against passive income. So what we're trying, I don't mind. Sorry, I have to address this. Sarah, I don't mind at all. We'll meet at the bridge, halfway. So what was I saying here? So the federal tax law limits the amount of deductions you can put. So think about this. You have a business, cash business, for instance, like a restaurant. And I know I'm the IRS. I know it's a restaurant. I know how much you make more or less based on the type of business it is, based on where it's located. I have an idea more or less, right? But you show me that you made $1 million worth of sales throughout the year, but you had a loss of $900,000. So your profit for the whole year was $100,000. in a restaurant business. You know what I'm saying? So you're deducting way too much, right? That's one of the things to think about. In this case, what we're saying is if your losses were from a passive activity, then you might not be able to get credit or direct deduction for the active income. So let's say you make $100,000 a year. You're on the 30% tax bracket. How much do you have to pay the IRS? If you're on the 30% tax bracket, for $100,000, you got to give them $30,000, correct? If you lose $20,000 in a property, does that mean that instead of paying $30,000 to the IRS, you're going to pay only 10? The answer is no. Because if you are not an active investor, right, then you don't have an active loss. You have a passive loss. Passive losses are calculated differently. So passive losses, you can offset passive gains. So let's say you have a property that you lost $20,000, but you have another property where you made $100,000. The passive loss will reduce your active gain. So you don't have to pay as much on the passive gain. Does that make sense? So that's the way it offsets. Let me go here real quick. I'm not a CPA, right? But the explanation should be based on this. Active, passive. You don't have to write this. I'm just quick illustration. Hopefully it works for what I'm trying to say. But let's say you're an active investor and you have minus $20,000 loss, right? But here you had plus $30,000 gain. Do you think this is going to offset that one? The answer is yes, because this is active. Anytime it's active income or active losses, you have the biggest deductibility. Okay? If it was the opposite, then no. Okay? So this is a yes. But then if you have here plus 30,000, and you have here minus 20,000, then the answer is no. You don't get to offset. You don't get to, this $20,000 loss does not reduce $20,000 here on what you have to pay the IRS. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? But let's say let's erase all this. And this is all we have. Okay? You had an active loss on one property. You had active income or gain on another property. Could these offset? The answer now is yes. So these are not the exact numbers, right? But now you only have to pay IRS $10,000 instead of the $30,000, because an active loss offsets an active gain. You got it? It's not exact numbers, but it's a direct reduction because it's active on active. You got it? Yes? Okay. So let me go back to passive. When do you calculate it? You don't. Your CPA does when you go do your taxes. So it's only when you do your taxes that this will apply. All right, let's erase this. So now we have the opposite. We have a passive gain and we have a passive loss. All right? Again, these don't apply against your active income. So here, this still means $10,000. But when these $10,000 are passive, they have a different type of percentage applied to it. Let's say, as an example, that this counts as 5% of your deductions. As an example, because it's passive income, it's calculated differently. So let's say it's 5%. I'm not a CPA. I don't know if this is the right percentage, but it's way less than your salary, which is a, let me clear this. Salary or wages, right? You made $100,000. If you made $100,000, for example, you are in the 30% tax bracket. Again, I'm not saying that this is the actual numbers, right? But it's just to give you an idea of the concept. You're in the 30% tax bracket. So how much do you have to pay the IRS here? You have to pay $30,000 to the IRS, all right? But you had a $10,000 gain or loss or whatever, right? So if this was a loss, I'm sorry, let me reverse this. It's a lot easier if this isn't. Let's make this a loss right here, minus 10,000. All right. Do you get to deduct $10,000 from this? No. Maybe you get to deduct 5% of the $10,000 towards this. Okay. So minus $2,000. How much do you pay the IRS? $28,000. So what I was trying to say is it's not a direct reduction, one for one. It's not. Active income and active losses, one for one. Passive income, passive losses, one for one. But when you apply the passive loss or income to the active wages, it's a small percentage. Okay? It's a small percentage. So this is passive. Again, I'm not a CPA, but I know that passive is calculated at a different percentage, a smaller percentage than active income is. You got it? I don't calculate it. You don't calculate it. None of us do. But if you're a passive investor, it acts as passive gains or passive losses, and it's a different percentage that's credited. Okay? Vanessa, you're trying to read? Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to read. It says passive. I know it's at an angle. All right. Next question. Correct. This happens at the end of the year when taxes are due and you present all your gains, all your losses, and they calculate it based on that. Okay? We don't calculate. We don't do this. But you have to know what is passive income and what is active income. And they're taxed at different rates. Okay? Like for instance, if you pay rent, let's go with the rent real quick. If you pay rent, do you guys know in certain states you might be able to reduce up to 18% of whatever you paid as a credit on your taxes? So if you paid $10,000, you might get a credit for the year. You might get a credit of $1,800 towards your wages. Okay, so what do you have to reduce on it? Does that make sense? Up to 18%. Do you get it in every state? No. Vanessa, and if you don't have losses, then it's gain. All right, so when I said here, let's turn this into a loss, it's calculated the same way. Now it's a gain, so it'll be plus 2,000. So how much do you have to pay the IRS? 32,000. All I said is that passive is calculated at a different percentage. Okay? Again, I'm not saying these are the exact numbers or percentages. But if you don't have loss, you have a gain. If you have a gain, you have to pay. The good thing is that if it's passive, it has a different weight than active. Something that everybody needs to understand. What the IRS is. Okay? We contribute, so taxes. We talked about this in, I agree with you and I disagree with you. I asked when we talked about Chapter 8, we talked about real estate taxes. I asked you if you guys knew what it was for. It was for the town's infrastructure, right? So when we pay income, we're paying to support the government. So all this money that we're getting right now, the 600 a week and all that stuff that a lot of people are getting when they were unemployed, right? 600 a week and all that stuff, all that came from the dollars that we deposit into the IRS. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It's tax. That's why I don't understand why they hold back so much. Like, they put money in the wrong things. They should give back to the people because we all paid for it, right? So that's why I don't understand. There's a lot of things I don't understand about governments and how they work. I think the military is definitely something important to have. Spending trillions of dollars in the military over the past 10 years since 9/11, when there's no active wars other than the ones we go out there. Anyway, different story. So there's 374 million people. It's 1 million per person, if you want to think about it that way. Give me my money, right? The problem is exactly what happened is some people took advantage of the money, and that's why they didn't go to work, as I said earlier. All right? So do we work for them? No, because it's we the people. Therefore, they work for us. So think of the IRS as your 401k account manager. Think of the IRS as your mutual fund account manager. Think of the IRS as your investment manager. They invest the money, let's say, because it goes to the government. They invest your money, right, in order to get more money, right? And they're supposed to kind of like give you the money. So they work for you versus you working for them. The fact that we don't know how to claim our money properly and say, hey, wait a minute, whatever's going on is wrong. We the people, right? The fact that we don't know how to claim this, that's a different story, because we the people are not instructed on how to do that, right? Got it? So that's why when we received the $1,200, right, and it says from Donald Trump, and I'm not going political here, but he said from Donald Trump, and he was all happy because he gave you the check. And a lot of people go like, oh, this came from the IRS, not from Donald Trump. Yeah. Donald Trump sponsored the bill because everybody put that pressure, right? Sponsored the bill. He wanted to have his name there, granted, but it's the IRS giving you the money that you contributed over the years. You got it? It was not Donald Trump. It was not the U.S. government. It was just the fund that was being created by our contributions every year. You got it? So that's what it is. What is a tax benefit? Is it the same as a deduction? So if you think about depreciation, that's what you're thinking about, yes. It is a type of deduction. Good night, Meredith. So every time you have deductions, these are tax benefits. It's you being able to pay less. So deductions, credits, these are all tax benefits. If you have the EIC, earned income, right, that's also tax credit. If you have kids and you get contribution towards your taxes because of your kids, that's a tax benefit for populating. That's what it is. Okay? Nope. Calculate what? I haven't shown any calculations here. I'm just trying to show you guys how to understand what each thing is. What is a deduction? What is a credit? What is a reduction? Right? Depreciation and all that stuff. So no, you don't have to know how to calculate it at all. In this segment, you don't. When we were talking about, all right, Myra, good night. When we were talking about this right here, this you need to know how to calculate because there might be a question there. So, and this was an exact question that we went over right here, this example. So it tells you they bought it for 45,000, they sold it for 100, they put 3,000 into it. So this is a direct question. This, yeah, you need to know how to calculate. That's it. Tax credits and deductions, no, that's a CPA. Okay, that's not you, that's a CPA. Vanessa's looking. Is she typing? One more question, please. Oh, Sarah's back. You didn't make it to Newark. What happened? Seriously. What did you just do? Do you have a list of questions you just copy and paste and you're laughing? That maniacal laugh right now. I see it. Why? Seriously. Hey Gil, since you're still there, this is the question. Can you see it? Can you see it? Yeah. Look at all that. That's a question. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said as soon as I saw it. Like, what? Alright, so you really don't want me to go home, huh? And then we got people going like, so glad that we're home. Alright. No worries, Gil. I know. I saw it. Alright, so what is GRM? I understand how to calculate it, but what does it mean? Alright, so GRM is, let's say we're trying to calculate comparables, right, to figure out the comparables, but there's not enough. Sometimes we'll use a different type of approach, so the income approach in this case, even for residential properties. So what we're doing, and I'm not looking at your other questions, I'm just explaining what GRM is. So what we will do is we look at it and there's only 2 sales that are comparable, but that's not enough for us to figure out values. So we're going to look at other properties that sold recently, right, and see what was the rental rate and what was the sales price. So how much were they collecting in rents and how much did they sell for? Because we have no other comps within the past 3 to 6 months, because we have no other comps within half-mile to 1-mile radius, we're going to have to get creative, and that's where GRM comes in. So we're going to figure out what is the number, in this case is in this case is 142.86. We're going to figure out what is the number that's common between all these rentals. So 200,000 divided by 1,400, so this property sold for 200,000. It was bringing 1,400 a month. When we divide it, then it's right here, 142.86. We're going to look at property C, right? So that was property B. We're going to look at property C, sold for 300, but it was bringing 2,000. So what is the number? 300 divided by 2,000, we'll figure out a number. Does that make sense? If the numbers are close to each other, so 142, 150, 145, we're going to figure out what the average is between these numbers, and we're going to say it is safe to assume that this is the GRM for this area. You got it? And then we're going to look at your property that you're trying to sell. It brings 1,500 a month, right? So how do we figure out the value of this property? We multiply it by the GRM. And your property is worth 214,000, which is $14,000 more because it also brings more income, right? So again, traditionally we only use GRM if there's not enough comps of sales to compare to, okay? That's what it is. So, I think I already addressed no, no, and no. It's the direct relationship between sales and rentals in the area. In the appraisal process, oh, that's a separate question already. Okay, did you get the GRM? Are we good? Yeah, okay. So in the appraisal process, how does general data work? So you're going to look at statistics. It's not a question in the state exam, but you're going to look at statistics of areas where certain groups of people live. So if it's female, if it's males, within certain ages. And we're going to look at what's the growth of that type of community and relate that to the sales, right? Political influences, unfortunately, also determine values. So when we talk about general data, it's things surrounding the neighborhood that could impact the neighborhood. If you're in a high crime area, for instance, what do you think is going to happen to prices? Do they tend to rise or tend to fall? So these are the things. There's no numerical number that we'll put to it. We'll put a stress test to it, right? And that will influence the appraisal's decision of what the value is. So think about it. If you are living in Newark and you have a 1-family, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, right? Why would the price be different when you go to Summit, let's say? One family, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, exactly the same thing. Why would the price be different when you get to New York? It's the same house, same structure, same everything. Why would they have different values? It all depends on the neighborhood itself. It depends on does that make sense? So that's where general data falls into. Specific data is comparables. We're going to look at houses in the area. Okay, general data is what influences the market. And is it on the rise? Is it on, like, we need to figure out all this stuff. Okay, like right now, millennials are going more towards rentals than they're going towards purchases. And when we're talking about rentals, we talk about luxury rentals. So what do you think is going to happen to the sales? Not many sales. There's going to be more rentals. So exactly. So because of that, when you put a house on the market, you can ask for whatever you want because there's not many sales. Boom. And that's what's happening here in Newark, Harrison, Kearney, Jersey City, anything all the way to Rahway. Anything along the train station, I mentioned this before. So that's what general data will do versus specific data. Got it? Good? All right, the next question is, why would a BPO be needed versus a regular appraisal? It's not versus a regular appraisal. Okay? It's, you have the regular appraisal, and if you feel, because you're the expert in the area, if you feel, for example, this is one way to use the BPO. If you feel the appraisal might be wrong, you can dispute the appraisal by putting your broker's price opinion. So all you're telling me is, well, I'm the bank. You're telling me, hey, Bruno Bank, I feel that your appraisal might be wrong because this is what's happening in the market. It is my broker's price opinion, right? So it's my opinion, that's what you're saying, because you do everything on behalf of the broker, right? It's my broker's price opinion that this property is worth a little bit more than what the appraisal came in. And at this point, what usually lenders do is now they order another appraiser to go out. So not the original one, it will be another one to go out to evaluate the property. If both appraisers come up with a similar value, you lose, right? If both appraisers come up with different values, you might win because now something is wrong, right? So just remember, all these things delay a closing. Now, what I was telling you also is that you can do BPOs for other types of services, like bankruptcies, for divorce proceedings, stuff like that, for insurance. You can have your broker's price opinion for different scenarios, and you make extra money. Now, obviously, your broker is the one that charges. Whether you split the fees or you get 100%, that's between you and your broker. It was just an extra. I'm always trying to give you guys ideas on how to make extra money. That's all. Okay, so you could use the BPO to make extra money. This is your first set of 3 questions. You have more because I'm pretty sure you got like 100 questions. Copy paste. Vanessa just laughs. All right. Sarah, don't look so serious. Come back. Smile. Okay. And Gil is just running through Walgreens. Gotta love it. Okay. I'm trying to help you. I mean, how many more hints can I give? Right? Almost every day I'm giving you guys a new hint on how to make money. Even if it's small money, but yes, perfect. Gil, watch the chat real quick. Vanessa just sent something to you. Read. Very important. Very, very important. You can ship it to 18 Oliver Street. Oh, you got a whole list, Gil. Whole list of questions. Can't get any better. There you go. Yep. You better get out of there quick before she comes up with a whole list. Yeah. $300 later. Each. All right. Guys, any other questions? No? Good night, Daphne. You're welcome. Keep on sending me stuff separately. Don't send it in the group. I'll address it. Send me whatever is wrong that you see, typos and stuff, so I can correct it. Not only because of that, because if it gets in the group and then people type, it just gets lost and then I'll forget to do it. All right? So if you send it separate, I have your stuff there and I will address it. And I appreciate that because a lot of the stuff I outsourced. I gave them the questions and stuff and they just entered it for me. So I will definitely address all that. All right, Vanessa. See you tomorrow. Crazy. Oh, you're still here. Oh. Okay. No, but do tell me, please. Do tell me if there's errors in the flashcards, typos and stuff. Let me know, because again, there's a lot of stuff that I outsource, so I don't have to type it all, and I can still conduct the class. So definitely, so I can correct and make it better. Okay. Ooh. Don't tell me that. Not on live. All right, let me switch this. All right. Pedro just said I'm fired. Terrible. Got it. All right. Screenshot. Let me know separately. You got my number, right? Thank you. All right, guys. Gil, I'm waiting for the order that Vanessa and Daphne made so they can come collect here at the office. All right. I'll see you guys. Thank you. Good night.